Kerri, are you a Lego girl?
I love Legos.
I love Legos. I haven't loved Legos my entire life, but as an adult, I've definitely embraced Legos. Were you a Lego kid?
People are going to think we're doing an ad for Legos right now. We're not actually. I was a
No.
Lego kid, and now I'm a Lego adult with a Lego kid. We take our
Oh.
like little Oreo, we take our Legos and we build robot versions of everybody in our family.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, yeah, this is not an ad at all, but it is airing before the actual episode because it's that important. This information is so important. So, do you want a Lego Golden Girls? Of course you do. Of course you do,
Yes.
Kerri. Like, who wouldn't want a
Yes.
Lego Golden Girls? I mean,
Yes.
everyone. Well, it is within reach. Their Martin Studio, a designer, has created the kitchen for the Golden Girls. And you probably saw it floating around the internet during a last round of sort of voting that happened with Lego. Well, it's back. And all Martin needs is 4,000 more votes in order to be considered by like the official Lego people, which that's like not even everyone listening. Like that's how small of a number 4,000 actually is for votes. And voting is so simple. I mean, you would want this, right, Kerri? Like you would want
Yes,
to build
Golden
a
Girls
Lego
fans
kitchen.
unite. I think for everybody who collects everything Golden Girls that comes out,
Yes.
you want the Lego set of the Golden Girls to play with.
Yes, yes, yes. And if it gets considered and if it gets picked up, Martin has promised to create the rest of the house out of Legos, which is like, oh, amazing.
Yes.
So here's how you can help. Simply create a free account on Lego Ideas and click support under Golden Girls Set by Martin Studio. Now, Martin Studio, he's the designer of the project. You can go to his Instagram account. It's the pinned post on his Instagram account. His Instagram account is Martin_Studio 8, or I'm sorry, Martin_Studio 98. Or you can go to the amazing Golden Girls Moments account. I mean, if you don't follow them, follow Golden Girls Moments because they do so much good Golden Girls content. And you can go to their account, and it's also the pinned account or pinned post on their account as well. And you'll go to the show notes for this episode too, and you can click on it for how to vote. It'll take you directly where to vote. Go vote because I want a Golden Girls Lego set. Like I want to build the kitchen. I want the little like the penis pan at the time. Like I want that in a Lego form. In fact, I want that, and I want to make earrings out of it. That's what I want. I want earring cock pans, which I think is a possible. Maybe I should create that actually and sell those.
Maybe. That's good. Michael could make those. Get a mold.
I know Michael could. This is getting away from Legos. So please go vote. Go to the show notes. Click on the links. You know how to find links in this world. Go and do it because I just personally want this for myself. So please go do this for me.
Golden Girls fans unite. We've done great things as a group before. Let's do it again.
Yes, and now let's get on with the show.
Picture it, Los Angeles, 2024.
Oh, welcome to Out of the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever going to need to listen to. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I am HAlanScott / City Pines.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and somebody who was like, I'm going to give this Golden Girls podcast a try, just turned it off.
I know. They started with the Lego thing, and now this is like, well, we lost that new listener. Sorry. Welcome, everyone who loves us.
Today, we're doing a Beyond Golden Girls episode where we cover the many film and TV projects that the women did outside of the Golden Girls during the course of their illustrious careers. And today, we're watching Rue McClanahan's guest star appearance in the 2003 short-lived sitcom Whoopi, starring,
Short-lived
of course,
is an understatement.
the
Short-lived is an
fabulous
understatement.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, we need to get into that because the fact that an Academy Award winner only had 23 episodes
22.
of a show, 22 episodes of a show that she couldn't even get like a half sort of season 2. Like, I mean, that shocks me. But yes, anyway, sorry. That's all
we're going to talk about it. I'm just going to say real quick, if you're in the GGVIP club this week on the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour, we're talking about our favorite podcasts this week. We're talking about the podcast, what we listen to when we're not listening to the sound of our own voices.
Yeah.
So if
which is very
you
exciting.
want to listen to that, and of course, all of our Rusty Anchor Happy Hours going back to like January, we're going on almost a year now of doing the GGVIP club.
That's
and
so
video
crazy.
versions. I know.
We should find when the anniversary is for that and celebrate that.
Well,
Why not?
I don't know.
Literally, the girls never needed a reason to
want.
celebrate.
I guess we can do
find a
whatever
reason
we
to
want.
celebrate every single day.
Sure. We'll have a special Rusty Anchor happy hour just to celebrate our 1-year anniversary of the Rusty Anchor happy hour.
Yes.
Sure. You got it. You got it.
Yes.
You got it. But yeah, there's so much great stuff in the GGVIP Club. You have ad-free episodes. You don't have to listen to any of the ads. The video versions right away. You get all tons and tons of bonus content,
and also
weekly
you can
episodes,
interviews. You can watch
so
you can watch the full episode of every podcast on most every podcast, just in case sometimes copyright gets in the way, but on YouTube after the fact. And also too, get tickets or sign up to be the first to know about tickets for our next live show, which is December 7th here in Los Angeles at Dynasty Typewriter. It's on a Saturday. It's a matinee, so it's going to be very easy for people to come in and travel to whenever you need to. You can go to our Patreon or just out on the Lanai.com. It'll take you there as well. And you can, I believe it's the pin post. If not, it will be soon. And you can just sign up a little Google form to get on a sign up sheet to listen, to be the first to know about when tickets go on sale. So go.
Because I think our last show sold out. So
it definitely did. Yeah, it definitely did. So I'm dealing with, so you commented on how curly my hair is. This is my natural.
I love
anyone
it.
Watching in Patreon or on YouTube, or in the clips, this is my natural hair state. After, if I don't touch it, if I don't do anything to it, if I don't put any product in it or anything, this is where my hair goes to. And I have decided that I'm calling it my mental breakdown hair because I've been so busy and so stressed that I was just like, I can't think about another thing, including lifting my hands to do anything to my hair. And so I've let the hair be mental breakdown. And I don't know if I love it. I'm putzing with it a lot because it's very unnatural for me to have hair falling on me in this way, but I'm embracing it because it's a different reality. It's a different thing.
I really like it. You've got, because like when I don't do anything to my hair and I just come out of the shower, because I often record this podcast post shower because it's like the only time of day I have to shower between when I put little Oreo down and when we do this. And I have what I call my Amy Grant curls. And I feel like what you have are your Amy Grant curls.
Are these Amy Grant curls? I'm going to Google Amy Grant curls right quick.
You are, if Amy Grant had short hair.
Yeah, I guess I do have kind of early 90s Amy Grant situation happening. Wow, baby, I'm taken with a curl. Yes. So yeah, okay, I'll take it. I like Amy Grant.
Okay, great. We love Amy Grant here on this podcast.
We love Amy Grant. Her and Vince Gill.
So, okay. Let's talk about, do you want to talk about Whoopi for a second before we talk about the show? I know you have a lot to say about Whoopi, I feel like.
Well, I do have a lot to say about Whoopi. I also have a lot to say about the era in which this show aired, because it is very important for context of everything we're going to talk about. Now, we're not going to talk a lot about, I guess, like the certain details of the show during the recap, because this is all about Rue. Like, this is all about Rue McClanahan on Whoopi, like fully 1000%. She's fantastic, and I want to focus on her. But before we get into that, so this show aired in 2003 definitely, but was it even part of 2002? I think it might have been. And
no, well, the show premiered in 2003 and just lasted the 22 episodes.
So it ended in 2003 too.
It probably ended in 2004. It probably started airing in the fall of 2003. Yeah.
The reason why this show is so fascinating is Whoopi Goldberg. Let's start with her. So she's an Academy Award-winning actress. We all know this. We all know the history of Whoopi, Sister Act, etc., Color Purple, Ghost, like so many fantastic films. But at this point in her career, she wasn't doing films in the way that she had been in the early 90s. And I don't think there's in terms of like pop culture, like anistas, if you will, that discuss sort of what happened to Whoopi's career at this point. Some argue that she just said yes to everything and the quality of work just sort of went down the drain. I argue that a lot of Hollywood, even after they awarded her the biggest prize you can win in Hollywood, the Academy Award, I argue that Hollywood did not know what to do with this woman because of sexism, because of racism, because of lots of different things, because she was outspoken. I mean, I would argue even in some ways that she suffered from her own personality because, again, she didn't play the system. She would say what she wanted to say. She would do her own thing. She's really a comic. She's an actor at heart, but she's a comic. And this show, while very bad, I mean, it is like the premise is good. Some of the jokes are good, but like it struggled in terms of, I think, direction in a lot of ways. And but it really is the essence of who Whoopi is, and it goes to the heart of why Whoopi matters as an artist within collective entertainment industry. Because from the very beginning, Whoopi Goldberg with her one-woman show that was brought to Broadway by the great Mike Nichols, and is how Steven Spielberg discovered her for Color Purple, which is how she got in the movies, which is et cetera, is that she's political. She would through art talk about really important things like racism, like, you know, sexual assault, like, I mean, different things, different topics that she would talk about in her live shows, and the struggles of her just being her. And through that, we were able to get a movie star that we had never ever seen before. And at that point in her career, she was kind of trying to figure out where to go with all of that. And so she was still the political Whoopi Goldberg that she had always been. She was talking about important issues. And that gets me to why this era is so important. So it was at the height of the George W. Bush administration, the height of George W. Bush's popularity post September 11. He had benefited from the war. He had sailed to a re-election very easily, I don't think you could even say it was necessary. I mean, it wasn't a landslide election because we are polarized as a country, but he won handedly. And we were in a time where if you weren't patriotic and you weren't saying, I love America and we must fight the terrorists and immigrants are bad and all of these different things, that you would get cast out. Look to the Dixie Chicks, or they're now called just the Chicks, but look to them at the time and what happened to their careers. And anyone who spoke out against George W. Bush at that time or said anything that might even indicate that you weren't in support of the war, et cetera, you had trouble. And Whoopi Goldberg, very clearly, even in this episode deals a lot with immigration, and there's a lot of really uncomfortable things in this episode and uncomfortable characters. There's one character in particular who is a white woman who is very clearly appropriating Black culture. And I went back and I read a New York Times article that focused on this, and Whoopi Goldberg, her reasoning for this character, she created this character and she wanted this character in the show. And when they were casting this character, they intentionally sought out a woman who could talk quote unquote Black. That was the quote. And it was intentional because Whoopi was saying at the time, you had Eminem, you had so many different white people who were doing this, who were appropriating Black culture in this way. And she wanted that represented because she felt it was a part of the conversation that she wanted on her show. I don't know if that's necessarily needed or true, but that I'm coming from a white perspective there. So I don't know if I'm necessarily able to speak to that, but that was the reasoning. And so it was a show that was controversial, but because it wasn't a good show, it didn't get the conversation it probably deserved with the things that it was discussing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I mean, also for anybody who doesn't know what this show is about, I can give you a quick, just like Wikipedia breakdown. It says Whoopi Goldberg starred in this comedy as one-hit wonder Mavis Ray, a cigarette-smoking, alcohol-drinking, menopausal, and especially opinionated hotelier.
Yeah.
In 1986, Mavis had one huge, spectacular hit song, Don't Hide Love. Quickly realizing that her initial success was a fluke, she parlayed her finances from that hit into purchasing the Lamont Hotel in Manhattan. And of course, the cast is rounded out with a very eccentric staff and her conservative brother who doesn't have a job and just kind of hangs around the hotel. Yeah. The show definitely gave me Amanda's by the Sea vibes, like they were trying to do with
Golden
B. Arthur.
Palace even,
Golden Palace, of course, Faulty Towers. Like, are there any other TV shows that were about running a hotel? Or are these kind of the four?
Well, yes. I mean, famously, Newhart. It was like a B&B, but yes. And so like, yeah, there have been big ones too. And it's an amazing premise for a show because it allows you to have a lot of characters go back and forth, and every episode you can have something different, and like it just allows for a lot of creativity, I think, in a lot of ways. It's sort of like a hospital, or anything that has a lot of different people coming in and out of it is a great storytelling device. You know?
And the show was created by the husband and wife team, Bonnie and Terry Turner, who were also known for creating ensemble sitcoms like Third Rock from the Sun, which I love, and that 70s show, which I loved as a teenager.
I never got into that 70s show.
I did because I feel like I was in high school
Well, I mean, I would have been
we
too,
were
but
in.
it just didn't.
Yeah, I guess that's.
It just
Yeah.
didn't hit me in the way that I guess other. I mean, I was there watching like Will and Grace and stuff, so I was definitely,
Yeah.
in a watching different things.
Did you watch
But
Third Rock from the Sun?
I did watch Third Rock from the Sun. Yes, I loved Third Rock
Mm.
because I was really big on John Lithgow, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing, and he is the nicest man you will ever speak to
Yay.
in your entire life. I was so blown away by how nice he was. But I was a big fan of his because of his previous work. I mean, I love him as an actor, and World According to Garp is one of my favorite movies, and he got an Oscar nomination for that.
And of course, Harry and the Hendersons, probably his most well-known work.
That was high up on my list.
John
too.
Lithgow and my dad are the same exact age. They were born the same day, the same year. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that.
Yeah, but my dad wasn't in Harry and the Hendersons.
We don't know who was behind that mask. But this show, what saddens me about this show, it was an uncomfortable watch. I don't know if I would necessarily encourage people to watch it because I mean, you can watch it. No, I would encourage you to watch it because it is a remnant of the time, but it is uncomfortable in that, not uncomfortable in that I think something's like not PC or whatever. It's uncomfortable in that there are some times I find Whoopi Goldberg is message before art. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what I'm saying with that is that like sometimes she doesn't think of how to creatively get her message across in a way that will have a greater impact. And because of that, it comes out lazy, sloppy, and offensive. And when that's not her intent, and we see this on The View. I'm a big watcher of The View, and we see it on The View all the time. Now, I love Whoopi Goldberg. I respect Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is at the top of a list of people that I looked up to as a kid, and I was obsessed with because I just didn't know who this person was, and I'd never seen anyone like them, and I thought they were just the funniest, coolest, most creative person I'd ever seen. She was up there with Bette Midler and so many others, and watching this made me even more sad because I see where Whoopi has gone, and I still respect her to this day, and I think she's an important voice, but I still stand by that she is sometimes very, very lazy with how she delivers.
When we get to the message, because there's a clear conversation when there is what the message of this episode is about. And it's not, we haven't even brought it up yet. We haven't even mentioned it. It actually has a lot to do with Rue's character.
Yeah.
But when we get to that part, let's talk more about that because I am that now that you've said that, I was like, oh, I'm interested to see what your take would be on how she could have done that and maybe in a more impactful way. But I sort of hear what you're saying. We should say
too, so Rue plays a guest in the hotel who has...
Do we need to take a break before we...
We should set up who Rue is before we get into the episode.
I wasn't sure. I was like, are we getting to break time?
Well, I know we're going a little bit long, but we should say who Rue is because I feel like you have to know that before you go into this episode. So
I was going to set it up.
Okay, well, she just plays like she plays a character who like is there smoking pot with other geriatrics who need it for
medicinal purposes,
and it's disrupting. The smell of the smoke is disrupting other guests, and it becomes a message about drugs and other stuff, and policing and lots of other stuff. So yeah, now we should take a break and get into it.
And we're back talking about Rue McClanahan's guest star appearance in the 2003 NBC sitcom Whoopi. This episode, I think, is called American Girl. Where was I in 2003? I was in college. I was in Georgia.
Okay, yeah. I was done with college. I was in Chicago. Oh, no, I wasn't. I was traveling around on campaigns at that point, I think.
Oh, I
don't remember a lot before chemo, I have to be honest. I really don't. It's sad. I remember some New York days. I remember my friends, but like details like that, I don't really remember.
Yeah. Sometimes our memory just creates gaps to try to protect us. And that's okay.
That's okay.
So again, this feels very Golden Palace. Whoopi runs this hotel. I really appreciated her attitude in this hotel, and that I feel like so many hotel owners are like such a stickler for things, and she's like,
Wait.
I'm fine just like letting people be happy in my hotel.
What did you think of Whoopi Goldberg as an actor in this show?
So here's my thing about when I first started watching this episode, I was like, got through the first 2 minutes and I was like, oh, this is horrible. I can't watch this. This is so unfunny. Then
Really?
it took me a couple minutes, but then as the episodes, it started getting into it. I really enjoyed myself and I laughed. And like you said, that, there's we're really going to talk, I promise we're going to talk about Rue, but there was a storyline about one of her employees trying to pass his citizenship test to become an American citizen. And this old paranoid white man thinks that he's like plotting a terrorist thing. And then like the cops come and, I was very quickly reminded of all of that sort of post 9/11, like hate that. It just, I was like, oh, that's right.
You could see in the story,
it was in this,
Whoopi trying to push back on the narrative of the time, which was vilifying immigrants, basically, and people who, especially from Middle Eastern countries, like the attack on them. She was trying very hard to send a message home. I think it was sloppy, but she was trying very hard. But the intent was there. The goodness was there. Yeah. But I think she was great. I actually thought her performance was very funny. I mean, there's a clip we're going to play.
She was great. I very much enjoyed her.
Yeah, there's a clip we're going to play where it's a laugh out loud. She has funny responses. Whoopi Goldberg is just funny in this. And Rue is so funny.
Rue. Okay. So yes, Rue's character in this episode, and hopefully you'll kind of get a sense of it in the clips. It felt like this to me was like Blanche post the Golden Palace. Like they've gotten to a point where they've sold it. Maybe they've sold it to Roland, but they don't work at the Golden Palace anymore. And now Blanche is finally relaxing. She's taking it easy, but she's still really horny. And she's passing her time smoking weed and hanging out with her friends, like mostly guys. I could totally see that like as Blanche in her 70s or 80s.
Fully. What was interesting about this character, and I mean, it stands out to me maybe because I've had cancer, but like the character says that she's fine, but she's there because others are dealing with, glaucoma and other diseases. And it reminded me that Rue McClanahan was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 1997. And then of course she had the double mastectomy in, I think, 2009. And so like she had been having her own battle with cancer even during this time. I mean, she was out of it at this point and she was back to working, and she had a pretty prolific stage career. She had moved back to New York at that point. She had kind of like, or she would soon move back to New York after this. And she was working and she was thriving and she was living and doing the things, but cancer was definitely a reality in the surface and in certain parts of her life, which that made this even more potent for me.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. So yeah, like you had set up earlier, like the guests have been complaining because someone smells weed. So Whoopi goes to find the source of it, probably assuming it's some teenagers. And then she knocks, she smells, she's like, oh, it's this door. I know it's behind this door. She knocks.
Well, there's a funny bit because she's going down the hallway. It cuts to a scene of her walking down the hallway and she's just smelling the doors, and it kind of reminds me of when I'm in the apartment and I'm trying to find the source of a bad odor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yes, I have a child who poops. Yeah.
I feel like you would maybe know where poop is living, right?
Yeah, but because we have a dog who has
true
shit on the carpet often and does to this day. It's so it's like, where's the poop? Who's the poop?
Yeah.
Who did the poop? Yeah.
Who did the poop?
I only pulled this moment because I mean it is our introduction to Rue, but there was something very bizarre about this moment to me, and I want to play it, and then I want to see if you picked up on the same thing I picked up on.
Well, before we even play the clip, I want to say anyone listening, this would be a good episode to watch, only because this clip doesn't have a lot of audio to it that you're going to know. But what happens in it is Whoopi finds the door, the source of the smoke, and then Rue McClanahan opens the door, and Whoopi reacts in the way that she reacts. So you don't really hear a lot of the reaction, but that's what's going on in
That's
this.
part of what I think is so bizarre about it. Let's play it.
Let's play that clip. Yeah.
Yes. Hello. I made a mistake. I'm at the wrong room. Please excuse me. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you notice anything weird about it?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, one, Rue McClanahan should always get an applause break. Any of the Golden Girls should. I'm just going to put that out there right now. She didn't get an applause break.
There wasn't an audience for this, I don't believe. I don't think this was in front of a live studio audience.
You know, as sitcoms started aging, like How I Met Your Mother, for example, did not shoot in front of a live studio audience. The laugh track that you would hear in How I Met Your Mother they would screen the episode for an audience and record the reaction and then just play that on the show. So I'm curious to know if they did that here.
It was filmed. It was actually filmed. I don't think it was, because it was filmed at the Kaufman Astoria Studios in Queens, the Whoopi show. And I'm pretty sure they don't do live audiences there.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Okay. Yeah. This is what was weird to me. It felt... So Rue, you could barely hear what Rue said when she opened the door. She was just like, hi. And then Whoopi said something like, oh, sorry. And then Rue says something, but you can't hear it, and then just shuts the door. It felt like Rue was supposed to be an extra that didn't have any lines. Like, why not have that be an actual exchange? It just felt like the direction on the day, which, by the way, this episode was directed by Terry Hughes, Golden Girls director. Yeah. So I don't know if that's how they got Rue, or if that was always the case, whatever. But it was directed by Terry Hughes.
Goldberg. I feel like Whoopi Goldberg could get anyone she wants.
Well, sure, they could get anybody, but I don't know. But anyway, I don't know how many episodes Terry Hughes directed of this series, but it was just like, give them a joke. Like it just felt like the direction was, okay, then Rue, you open it and just say hi, and then she's going to realize it's not you and close the door.
I get why they didn't, because the joke is Whoopi's reaction to Rue being old, in that Rue...
But why couldn't they write a joke for it?
They could have, but I get, again, lazy. But it
did feel lazy to me.
It feels lazy, but because you're hinging on Whoopi's reaction as being the joke, and it obviously was not big enough to be a satisfying joke. It was fine. It was I got the intent of why she didn't think that was the room where the pot was coming from, and it gives it gives you a second later for her to leave and then be like, wait, no, I know my pot knows. And then she goes back to the room. And so you get that moment with Whoopi afterwards, but it's not satisfying at all.
It felt a little bit like lazy writing to me, because I was like, you have a great opportunity. You have Rue McClanahan right there. She is the guest star in this episode. And we can barely hear what she's saying. Also, the music, I understand that there's music, but that shouldn't matter. Just balance your audio levels. Did you realize that song to me, and we'll hear it again in a minute, it sounded like, do you know that Bare Naked Lady song that's like, I met you before the fall of Rome? That song, it's all been done. Anyway, it sounded like...
I only know, what's that one song, their big one?
You know, One Week. Chicken to China, Chinese chicken, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know. This is the time.
But Elliot sings that song in his live show, and it's really funny.
Oh, that's really funny. Does he do a haunting rendition of it?
Yeah.
Of course he does. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, also I have to say about Rue in this episode. So she was wearing what I feel like we see her wear a lot in her later years on stuff, which is a very modest, black pantsuit with a red blouse. They put her in a lot of red, and she looks great in red.
Yeah, she does. No, she does. But then Whoopi goes back to the door.
We can play that moment. This is where it feels like they were actually writing the television episode.
Yes.
Sorry, this is not the way it looks. We are under a doctor's supervision.
That's a good one.
This is medicinal marijuana. It's no different from any other prescription drug, except it's illegal.
Look, I understand all this because usually I'm on the other side of the door. But y'all need to go home and do this because my guests are complaining.
Can't smoke it at home because my son is so judgmental. You see, when I smoke pot, well, it gets me sexy. And I need room to express myself. What was I saying?
A little too much.
Oh.
Funny. I mean, those two together are funny. They're funny people.
Funny.
Yeah.
Rue's delivery is
and Whoopi's reaction to her delivery is just perfect. I mean, it's just two great, funny people in a scene together. I will say I do need to give a shout out to there's a gentleman that's either right before this or after this scene he's in this episode of quite a bit. His name is Eli Wallach. Did you recognize him?
Who did he play?
He was like the man in the room that was with Rue and the other seniors, but he's like the man that was at the door with her at one point.
The paranoid man.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you recognize him from
No.
a very popular film that I believe you love? I hope you do. Everyone should love it. It's called The Holiday, a Nancy Meyers classic Christmas film. Where do you remember
I've
that
never seen.
film?
No, I have. I love
You've
Nancy
never
Meyers, but I haven't seen The Holiday. I only
that
watched
shocks
Something's
me.
Gotta Give.
That shocks me.
And that
anyway,
other one with
let me give some flowers to Eli
Meryl.
Wallach because Eli Wallach deserves some flowers. He is credited. He is sort of known in Hollywood history as the character actor in Hollywood. He won an honorary Oscar in like 2011, shortly before he died. And because he is so historic in terms of the performances he delivered, but was never the star. He was always the supporting character. He was always the character actor. He was always, but he was one of the founding members of the Lee Strasberg studio or whatever, actor studio. And he studied under Lee Strasberg directly. And he is just one of those, I mean, every single actor who, in any film that you've seen from 1950 to the 90s, knows who Eli Wallach is, admired Eli Wallach. He is a legend in Hollywood. And in The Holiday, they kind of pay homage a little bit to his Hollywood royal status in that he plays an old Hollywood writer who wrote those romantic comedies of back in the day, and the film's romantic comedy. And he talks about Meet Cute. And he sort of has this like cute relationship with Kate Winslet in the film where he talks about how special she is and how she should own how beautiful she is and go with the guy and all these. It's just he's such a wonderful actor that seeing him in this, even though in this episode he plays a not so great person, he's just a great classic actor, and everyone should Google him right now. He's amazing.
Well, thank you for pointing that out because I didn't know that about him, and now I do, and now we can all celebrate him. So Thank you for that.
Amazing.
What I love about Rue's performance, especially in this moment with Whoopi, is I feel like it's certain actors will play drunk or will play high, and it's annoying because it's not subtle. And what Rue McClanahan did was so subtle. And on a sitcom where all the acting is very broad, she was still delivering for a broad sitcom, but was able to play high so subtly that it didn't feel
it's
like,
kind of like Little Balls of Sunshine. It's, sleep deprived Blanche. It's kind of like she's able to do that dance between the high camp absurdity you need for a sitcom when you play something that's extreme, drunk, high, sleepy, whatever it is, horny, but also ground it in reality, grounded in a truth, grounded in something that allows you to have a place to play with it a little bit. And she's, again, I've always said this, I think she may have been the best of the four actresses on the Golden Girls. Like, she is a great actress.
Oh, she's so good. I was also, because I was like, I bet we totally would have made Blanche horny. And I was wondering, like, how do you think it would affect the other? Like, picture our four Golden Girls, right? Rose has accidentally made pot brownies, right?
Whoa.
What happens?
This is
like this needs to be somebody
a rusty
needs to
anchor
write.
question, but I love this on the main. This is good on the main. This is good on the main. Okay, this is what I think.
Let's start with Blanche.
Blanche immediately would get paranoid horny, in that she would start paranoid, and then she would use that paranoia as a tool in order to get into the arms of the nearest man, and then say how scared she is, and thus that would lead to tickle tickle hunky.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What about Dorothy?
What do you think Blanche would do?
Oh, I think that Blanche would. I just think Blanche would be horny. I think that
Yeah.
Blanche would eat everything in the fridge and complain about how much weight she was going to gain, but she would eat it anyway.
She would eat everything.
But
yeah.
she would be, she would just be horny.
Horny.
She would be like looking at people, like she'd be looking at the women the way that she looks at Rose on New Year's Eve when she's waiting for a kiss, and Rose is like, don't even think about it. So that's why I think she would start looking at the other women if there were no men around.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Who's next?
What do you think Dorothy would be like?
Oh, Dorothy would become the most hyper productive person. Like it's sort of like the way Rose gets when she's like she's on speed or whatever, that episode, or when she's like coming down from the drugs. Like I feel like Dorothy would she would attempt to write like something crazy, like something huge, and she would stay up all night writing it, and then she'd finally fall asleep. And the next day she'd wake up and then she would be like, oh my God, I've just written, like, basically like Blanche. Like she would think she's productive, but she's not actually doing it. It's sort of like the false sense of confidence that you get, that some people get with pot and stuff. I think that's where Dorothy would go.
She would think she's like a real Barbara Thorndike.
Yes.
I think
and she would call Barbara Thorndike and be like, let me tell you why you suck.
Let me tell you why. What is it? Something, the waves of Biscayne Bay. You guys everybody else is repeating it because I got it a little wrong because it's late. I think Dorothy would be real giggly. Dorothy, it's funny because I feel like when we each say something different, we both go, oh yeah, I could totally see that. I could see Dorothy. No,
I don't think she'd be giggly at all.
Oh, well, I think that she would be giggly. And I think we would get that silly, giggly, she loves you, yeah, Dorothy
wouldn't it be funny if Dorothy turned into
Mr. Gordon?
Wait, no, what if Dorothy turned into that friend who always gets naked? Like whenever they're drunk or high, they always just get naked. Like how funny would that be?
Ladies, we always dress for dinner.
No, see, if the giggly one, I don't think she would get giggly. I think Rose would be the one in the corner giggling. I think Rose would just be like, just giggling away in the corner and just like laughing at everything.
See, I think Rose would be paranoid. I think that Rose would start to think about like the little men that turn on the light inside the fridge when you open the door. The time she saw the UFO, like Rose would be out on the Lanai plug, looking up at the sky, waiting for the UFO to come back.
She would go back to the UFO one. Yeah. You know what I think would happen with Sophia though?
Oh, I know what would happen with Sophia.
I think Sophia would be that friend. There's always that one friend in the group that whenever you finish the bowl or you finish the thing, you get drunk or whatever it is, and it doesn't affect them.
That's what I was going to say. She doesn't, right? Because they had way stronger drugs in Sicily.
And everyone around her is like, how are you not on the floor? You're 3 feet tall and weigh 100 pounds. You just smoked an entire bag. How? And she'd just like, I don't know. Anyone want to go to the store? Like
Sophia would cook. She would love it, right? Because they would all want to eat, and Sophia would be like, "Great!" She would make like this giant Italian. She'd make her veal and pepper sandwiches. She'd make her spaghetti and her red sauce and everything. She would have all this rich carby food, and they would devour it. And she'd love it, and she'd be like, "I'm such a good chef."
Funny.
Yes, I love it. We both thought that.
On all of that, we should take a break and come back with the rest of this episode.
Okay. So after Rue and Whoopi have this little exchange, Rue actually invites Whoopi into the hotel room to meet her friends. There's like half a dozen. They're all older. Some men, couple women. And then that's where we learn they're all smoking weed for medicinal purposes. Also, they're all horny for Willie Nelson, which I thought was really funny. And then there's the one paranoid guy.
Yeah.
And you had pointed out the moment where Whoopi is like, I have to know, like to Rue.
Yeah.
She's like, what ailment do you have? And she goes, well, nothing. In a room full of glaucoma patients and arthritis patients, someone needs to be nimble enough to roll the joints.
It was cute. It was cute.
It was cute. And I was also
Yeah.
like, I would have loved to have seen Whoopi give her advice on like, you don't need to roll a joint to get high. Like you could
Yeah.
have ripped hits from a water bong. You can make a bong out of an apple or a
Yeah.
can of purple Fanta. There are so many things.
Do you want a Fanta? Can't afford it.
Yeah. Can I ask you, what is the naughtiest thing you've ever done in a hotel room, if ever?
Oh, wow. That is a bad thing to ask a homosexual. And I'm sorry, as a very, very proud and modern homosexual, I cannot legally say what I I cannot say on a public forum the worst thing I've done in a hotel room. But
That's
I'll give you
totally
something.
Fair.
I'll give you something. Wait, no, I'm trying. There's so many to choose from. I don't know. Wait, so give me yours first so I can gauge how strong I can go.
I have nothing. I honestly, I wanted to ask you the question. I'm so boring. I was like, I've had sex in a hotel room with my husband.
Everyone has had sex in a hotel room.
I
Oh
don't
my
think.
God.
I think for a minute I was like, oh wait, I had a dog in a hotel room, but then I was like, oh wait, I paid extra for the dog, so that was legit.
Yeah,
That was up and up.
I don't know. I do
know.
have an odd amount of stress in a hotel room when because I mean back in the day, because I was a smoker and I did things, and so I did lots of things in hotel rooms that I've lived, y'all. I've lived. Let's just say that. I can't say.
That's okay. I mean, it's created this lovely moment with us. So Whoopi, after she has this conversation with Rue, Whoopi is totally cool with them. She's like, look, just put a damp towel at the bottom of the door so the smell doesn't get out. I'm totally fine. Incredibly kind of her.
Yeah.
But Whoopi's conservative brother thinks what she's doing is wrong. And then here is, I think, what you think, and I'm now starting to agree, is the sort of the lazy moment of where it turns into a very special episode, not like just say no drugs are bad special episode, but that weed can help people for medicinal purposes, people going through chemo, people who have other ailments. And then the one guy makes a joke, which I thought was really funny. He's like, it's great for getting through Adam Sandler movies. I was just like, that was a funny joke. It felt like a very, that was okay.
True. Accurate
So now I'm curious to know, because that was sort of the message of it, which is why, her brother was like, that what they are doing is illegal. And Whoopi was sort of saying why she was okay with it.
And it's no surprise. I think you kind of have to combine two things into this. So this happens where the brother is saying that this is illegal, and this was a time where pot, I believe, across the country was just fully, it was by the federal government, it's still illegal. But states weren't legalizing it in that way. And it was legal for medicinal purposes, I think, in certain parts of the country, but it definitely was not where we are now, where here in Los Angeles, you can just go and buy it. But the scene that comes next after this, I also think needs to be, actually, all three scenes that happen after this moment can be lumped together because they all thematically are in line with each other, in that you have this scene talking about the illegal use of marijuana. Then the scene after this, I believe, is the police person who brings in the co-star who's trying to get his citizenship test. I forget the character's name. And there's that whole thing that happens, and we have a clip with Rue in that moment. And then, of course, there's definitely some racism that happens in that scene too, from Eli Wallach's character talking about the Middle Eastern man. I think he's Middle Eastern. He's Middle Eastern, right? I forget where he's from originally.
I think the character's Iranian, I want to say.
Iranian, yes. And then the scene after that is then the staff at the hotel in the workers' one
the poker
room.
scene.
The poker scene, which is incredibly uncomfortable.
It was so uncomfortable that that scene, there was a woman 2 times who literally said, build the wall. And I was like, what ugly foreshadowing.
So each one of these scenes has a political message to it. Each one of these scenes has an intent to why it exists. And it clearly is an intent from the direction of the star of the show, who this is her message. This is what she wants out there. This is what she's trying to say. And in saying it, it becomes muddled because now she's associating the illegality of pot with the illegality of this worker who's just trying to become a citizen to the illegality of some of the people at the end of the episode who get hired for different work, and you have someone flippantly being like, yeah, they don't need health insurance, and build the wall and all these different things. So you're lumping all of these things together. We just watched a film last night that this was similar to me, in that like it was called Devil, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, and where you take people who are quote unquote criminals, and these people were criminals, but like are criminals or bad people, and you lump them all into one story, like this episode did. All of these people, from the Rue doing something illegal in the hotel room, to the immigrant who is here trying to become a citizen in a legal way, who is being shamed by the police, who's being shamed by other people in the hotel, and then
who's being targeted. Who's
being targeted, and then you have the flippant workers at the end of the episode who are talking about how they like hiring I hate the term, but illegal immigrants. That's what they're saying, because it's cheap. It's cheap labor, and they don't have to pay health insurance for them. And so you're lumping all of this and racism too. She's talking a lot about racism in this episode as well. Black racism, we're not talking about sort of Middle Eastern or any sort of religious racism, but she's talking about slavery. And so you have all of these massive messages in one 23-minute episode.
They could have put some of those in different episodes.
Makes it all seem like they're all connected somehow, and they are not. The person who is illegally smoking pot is in no way connected to. I think the person who's creating the biggest offense is the woman who is laughingly saying that she doesn't care what build the wall, and doesn't care that her workers might not have health insurance or might get deported or whatever. She's more illegal than anyone else in this episode to me, even though she's not illegal.
She's more wrong.
She's more wrong. Yeah. And yet she's a main character who's praised. And so it's the lazy messaging from the show creator, Whoopi Goldberg, and the person who is driving this story, that the messages fundamentally, her point of view is good and is right, and I'm in line with her opinions. But because of the lazy way and the arrogant often way she chooses to say her messages, it gets lost, and then it becomes offensive, and it becomes like, well, I can't support this because it's messy, and it's like, it's icky to me. Like I don't stand behind a lot of what you're saying, although I stand behind your general point of view, but you're just bad at telling me it,
That you have made a really good point just now, and this is why your hair is with us tonight in its form, because this is passionate speech hair.
I mean, it just bothers me that, like, when someone, what bothers me the most? When someone who is so insanely talented, wastes that talent oftentimes on arrogance or laziness. Like, that bothers me beyond anything else, because it's you're watching a brilliant, it's sort of like Truman Capote. If you ever watch that Swan show, he's one of the best writers of the 20th century. He created some of the best work, scholarly work of the 20th century, from Breakfast at Tiffany's to, some even say, To Kill a Mockingbird, to
In Cold Blood,
to so many different things. And as a personality, and as an original person, and as a queer person existing in the 20th century, he was so huge. And he just wasted it all away on arrogance and laziness. Just wasted it away on it, and just became a caricature of a joke. And it's hard to even admire his work because of the laziness that he and direction he went in. And that's what bothers me about this, and Whoopi in general.
Well, you brought up a good point about all these different sort of illegal activities that are going on, without even mentioning that Rue does something else illegal, which is when Whoopi's conservative brother goes up to the room behind his sister's back, even though she owns the hotel, to be like, you have to stop doing this. Yeah. She charmed him and offered him lemon squares, and he ate them and he ate them and he ate
spiked lemon
more.
squares. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, he gets super high, which is like incredibly illegal. What's it called? Like when you roofie someone, but with weed.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, but it's wrong.
Well, that's what she did. That's definitely
Yeah.
not legal. And
Yeah.
then that poor actor, he did a fun, I enjoyed his very giggly take on being high. That poor actor had to sit at a kitchen table and shovel potato chips in his mouth to illustrate having the munchies while having a conversation with Whoopi Goldberg. You know they didn't do that in one take.
Yeah.
That guy ate so many of those potato chips.
Yeah. Yeah. But we do have another clip of Rue.
We do. So there's a great moment. So this is when the cops come after Rue's paranoid friend has called them on Whoopi's handyman, and the cops come and Rue starts flirting with one of the cops, and it reminded me of Blanche flirting with what she thinks is a stripper at Dorothy's bachelor party.
Totally.
Hey, Norman, where are the munchies? Woo, hello, officer. Just the police force all by yourself.
Excuse me. Why don't you step over here? Okay. Step right there and don't move. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's cute. I like it.
This is
And
cute. I had to play it because I just wanted her to like honk his hiney like she did on the Golden Girls. But then that would have just been her doing something else illegal. And
I mean, the episode, I basically just told you the whole episode.
I just wrote everything works out fine after that.
That's kind of, sort of. Yeah, it kind of does, except, her Whoopi's best friend is xenophobic and and incredibly racist against foreigners who it's just, yes, there are many problems. I support Whoopi's stance in most of the episode. The rest of it, the woman appropriating Black culture, there is an interesting take. There's an interesting moment between, I believe, a Chinese American, an American, but she's her family is Chinese and she grew up in, I believe, Chinatown. So like she has the accent and everything, and they're all surprised that she's Chinese. So there's that storyline, which is interesting, sort of at that table at the end. But the rest of it is just kind of just like icky from a stand.
I think you nailed it. They really were trying to do. They were trying to throw so much spaghetti at the wall in terms of these messages. It was like these could have been a few different episodes. Yeah.
Well, should we take a break and come back with our golden takeaways? Because I feel like this was a big one.
I'm dying to know what your golden takeaway is that isn't anything you've already said. Sure.
Oh, I have something. Do not worry. And we're back with our golden takeaway, which is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your life or the lives of our listeners. Kerri, what's your golden takeaway from this episode?
I've decided, I think the next time I go to a hotel, I'm going to do a little something naughty. Do you want to know what it is?
You should, yes. What?
Okay. So next time I go to a hotel, I'm going to bring like... Little Oreo has these little containers where if she has like a little bit of leftover oatmeal or something, I'll put it in the container. And I'm going to take it. And the shampoo and conditioner things that are built into the shower on the wall? I'm going to pump it till it's empty.
Ridiculous.
And then I'm going to take it home and I'm going to use it on my hair.
Wow.
What's your gold? I'm so
wow.
Can I tell you? I am so. I think it's like I don't know. I think it's like the social anxiety of like getting caught, and also I've just never. But I don't have any good stories about like partying or being crazy. When I was in high school, I used to go to parties and I would open one Mike's Hard Lemonade, and I wouldn't even drink the whole thing. I'd like go into the bathroom and pour some of it down the sink. I was so afraid I was going to get drunk, and I'd be like, "Guys, I'm so buzzed," and I wouldn't even drink a whole Mike's Hard Lemonade. I've only thrown up from drinking one time, and it was because I didn't have anything to eat. And then I haven't vomited since then.
I have thrown up from drinking before, many times, actually. There's one time that I threw up in a cab going over the Brooklyn Bridge, actually outside the window of the cab, and then I got kicked out of the cab. Yeah, so I definitely have some drinking moments. My golden takeaway from this episode is I know I was very harsh on Miss Goldberg, but I do need to say that I do encourage you to go watch some Whoopi Goldberg movies because, like, she is an icon in a way that, like, there is no one else like her. And she's just everything. And she's a talent that, if you separate Whoopi from the movies, which you often have to do, I mean, even a movie she produced like a couple years ago, Till, about Emmett Till, was a beautiful film. Danielle Deadwyler deserved an Oscar nomination, and she was robbed of it that year. And it's just, and she does important work. I mean, so much of her work, and her as a presence in Hollywood is so important, and was so important, and changed. I wish it changed more, but she was just an original, and she was in a league of her own in a lot of ways. And so I encourage people to go support some Whoopi Goldberg watching
To be clear, though, she wasn't in a league of their own.
No, she was not.
I just wanted to be clear.
She was not. She was definitely not. But she's fantastic, and you should watch the Whoopi Goldberg movies. And that's my golden takeaway.
Just watch Sister Act and Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
Well, no, watch Ghost. Watch The Color Purple.
Baby.
Watch The Color Purple.
Of course. Those are the givens. Of course, watch Ghost.
Yeah.
What the hell is Ditto? I love in Sister Act. Alma, check your hearing aid. Remember the piano player? She could never.
So good. Sister Act is just one of. My God. Yeah, so good.
Oh, so good. Oh, well, everyone, this has been another episode of Out on the Lanai. Thank you all so much for listening and being part of our little Golden Girls community. And remember to join the GGVIP Club. Check us out at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. You can sign up for a free account. And then you get most of the stuff with $5, $8 a month. But you can sign up for a free account. There's still free stuff.
Yes, there is. And, we are a part of Mom Moguls of Media, so go support us there and support Mom in all the ways. You could also follow us on social media at Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, Out on the Lanai Official on Instagram, Golden Girls Pod on Facebook, and I'm going to say it like Whoopi does on The View all the time. And, you can follow me on social media. I don't, where's it at? HAlanScott and Sadie, just Google it. That's Whoopi on The View.
That's Whoopi on The View. I'm Squid Eats Squid on Twitter and Squidzy on Instagram. And if you want to do something else to support the podcast, you can leave us a rating and a review wherever you get this podcast, because that also helps us out tremendously.
And remember,
as always,
Stay golden. Go watch Ghost.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.